let you know that your film has been selected for the festival in May. In the next few weeks, you'll be receiving an email with information regarding travel plans and schedules and such. If you have any questions until the email arrives, please call our office.
Should I really be nervous about going to the Trenton Film Festival? I mean, hell, it's not Sundance. It's a small little festival in Trenton, New Jersey. I think their big celebrity guest this year is Billy from Melrose Place. So what's the big deal, right? Well, Trenton just happens to be my hometown. It's 1,000 miles away from here, and 20 years in the past. And I guess a part of me wants to keep it that way. Not that my life right now is perfect, but at least it's controlled. I get up, I go to work, buy groceries, buy diapers. I guess you could say I'm an average guy. Well, that's me exactly 20 years ago, when I was the 15-year-old drummer for a punk band called Prisoners of War. I remember that day well, because that was the day we played at City Gardens. It was the biggest show we would play. 15 was a big year for me. Along with shows at City Gardens and CBGB's, that was the year my parents split up and I got kicked out of high school for fighting a teacher. Yeah, people used to tell me I had a chip on my shoulder back then, but if you were to ask me now, I would just say I was a little asshole. But I mean, come on, it wasn't easy to be into punk in the 80s in Trenton, New Jersey. Not that I had much of a choice. You see, I was the youngest of 3 brothers, and pretty much the youngest out of anybody we hung out with. And when you're the youngest, you don't choose the clique. It chooses you. I still get really annoyed when people talk about the good old days. I mean, what was so good about them? I think about that time and that place and how I pretty much got screwed out of a normal teenage existence. I mean, what was so good about that? What was so good about being stuck in a dying city?
This is a spike, a railroad spike. Notice how it's bent? You know why it's bent? Because Oh God!
Is that who you? Is that what they call you, Fred Fatal?
Fred Fatal was my name.
Dave Disgusting, Sam Psycho. Who the fuck are these people? I mean, where did you grow up? Where is this place? But you showed me that picture of the logo or the Trenton makes, the world takes.
Yes.
That's the
bridge.
The bridge. That's what
connects
Trenton,
Pennsylvania.
That's what Trenton identifies itself with. Is it?
I can't see what it could mean because Trenton doesn't make anything anymore.
Trenton doesn't make it.
No.
Trenton makes bad memories. Trenton makes
people want to leave. That's what it made. That's what it made for me.
Yeah.
When you grow up in Trenton and you hung around with the people I hung out with, when you went to a party or you went somewhere to somebody's house, the question wasn't, is there going to be a fight tonight? The question was, am I going to be involved in the fight?
I mean, don't you think Trenton's always going to be a part of who you are? Don't you think that Trenton is, your outlook in life, the way you process information has something to do with where you came from?
And we used to all freak out and bust your drum set at the end. Yeah, we really go nuts for this one. It's dedicated to Wanda X.
Wanda. Stupid.
You guys are crazy. You smoke pot out here like that? Where's that at? When he comes over, you can
I don't. Fred.
Who?
Smile, Fred.
Eddie,
Chris,
what's up?
you got a second?
Yeah. I'm watching 90210.
Nice. So real quick, the movie we made about Dad has been playing down here at some festivals. And it's been playing in front of some nice crowds. So I'm thinking at these things that it would be cool if Dad could actually go to one of these things.
Right. Well, what's
and-
going to happen is if you get the movie to play in Trenton.
Well, it turns out that there is a Trenton Film Festival for like the past 5 years. So I submitted that. Yeah, I submitted Dad's film, and it got in, and it's going to play in May.
What?
Yeah, so I'm going to fly up there, and you can go. I'm sure you can go, right?
Yeah, I can go.
Now I'm thinking we could see if we can get Joe to fly in. We have me, you, and Joe in Trenton. Why don't we try and get Joe, Bryce, and Sam, get a hold of them, and have a Prisoners of War reunion?
A reunion with the band.
With the band.
All right. I'm not singing.
Well, I don't want to play.
I'd like to see everybody again, but somebody puts a microphone in my hand.
No. I'm not talking about playing. I'm just talking about, because I haven't talked to Sam in 15 years. I haven't talked to Joe Bryce in 10 or 15 years.
Great. I would love to do that.
I just want to see how people are. I'm not talking about a show.
Yeah. Well, all right.
And
what about like the other people, like Dave Disgusting, and like, would you want to look them up too?
Dave Disgusting. He was the kind of guy that took everything too far, including giving me a hard time for being the young guy. I wasn't thinking of looking Dave up for this trip, and now I'm wondering if this whole thing is such a good idea.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, is this Lola? This is Fred. Fred Zara.
Oh, okay, this is Lola.
So I'm coming into town this weekend, and I'm getting together with some people back in the day and just talking to them about the old days, and we were hoping we could stop by and maybe see you for a little bit. Would you be interested in sitting down and talking about us and our old days and maybe talk about Steph a little bit? It was becoming apparent to me that I wasn't the only one a little uncomfortable revisiting the past. Guess what, baby? Daddy's going on a trip. Kind of big hugs?
Yeah. That's cold.
Is it cold out? Joe. Chris. Where's Uncle Chris?
It's really
Close.
Granddad
lives in New Jersey.
Chris lives in New York. I love you, baby. Have a good flight. What do you do now?
I have a car. We have a car.
Basically, if you took New York City and you got rid of all the culture, the skyscrapers, the bustling pedestrian traffic, the expensive mass transit, doormen, newsstands, you'd have Trenton. As a kid, I was vaguely aware of Trenton's glory days, that it was some major industrial center in the 1900s. I didn't think about that much. To me, all that meant was that we had a bunch of abandoned factories, which made cool backdrops for band pictures. You hear that? The kids playing in the schoolyard. Isn't that classic? You know, when I went here, the cars weren't allowed to park here. This was all playground. It looks like half the playground for where the kids could play is now parking lot. After a quick stop to see my dad, it was off to New York to pick up my brother Chris.
Hi, Dad.
As much of a wasteland as Trenton is, and as out of touch everyone seems to be, it's pretty ironic that it's only about an hour drive from one of the most culturally important cities in the world. It's one of those too close yet too far deals. I never thought my brother Chris would work in an office, let alone in New York City. He was always the quietest, most introverted out of all of us. I think he had the typical red-headed, left-handed, middle child syndrome. But that all changed when he became the lead singer of POW. Now he was a front man. He had an outlet for all that pent-up teenage angst he'd apparently been holding back. Personally, I think he just liked to tell people to fuck off. And that was one thing he was always good at.
And they see you and they say, well, we don't like you, so we're going to say, you know, we don't like you. We're going to say, that's what they say. And you know,
I don't know how you go from that to sitting behind a desk all day.
here's his little office building right here. There he is. Hey, buddy.
Well, I've seen pictures of him during his punk days, you know, but and he tells me stories about how he was this crazy guy, and you know,
He was
and
in his-
I'm like, what? I mean, this is the guy that eats granola bars, and you know, and God forbid you should actually entertain the idea with him of going out past 8 o'clock somewhere.
And I bet there's a lotion on these hands probably somewhere?
I use a little bit of
A little bit of,
moisturizer,
yeah.
I
A little
have a
cream of
product
some
at home,
kind.
yeah.
My stereotype of Jersey guys that I know, he doesn't fit. You know,
Yeah.
usually it's like, yo, hey,
Hey,
Vito.
Vito.
Yeah. So where are you guys off to now?
Brooklyn. See an old friend. So this is where Tony Lee spends his time, huh? Tony Lee was sort of like a local celebrity. He played guitar in a hardcore metal band called Heathen's Rage. I remember thinking it was a big deal that they actually had their own t-shirts. Tony didn't mess around, that's for sure. In fact, I heard he actually quit Heathen's Rage because he thought they were starting to sound too much like Dokken. One thing I could say about Tony is he was the first one of us to see the handwriting on the walls. He was the first one of us to actually leave Trenton. And I wonder if he even wants to see us after all these years.
Suburban, there's his disco balls.
What do you know? He buzzed us up. Yes, sir. Tony fucking Lee. Man,
How you doing?
how you doing? I'm
Pretty
Fred.
good.
Nice to meet you.
Richie.
Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so this is the kitchen, and we've named it. That's the dining room. This is the family room, and this is the family room, and that's the what
Photo shoot area.
Yeah, this is a photo shoot area. The first thing I did was when I left New York. I mean, when I left Trenton was like, you know, and even after all that stuff happened, you know, like, I mean, even at the time right before I left, I was kind of like in my sort of black plastic bagged room, like, you know, and this like cassette 4-track, and, you know, just making sort of industrial music, you know, and I realized that I can make music without a band, you know, using like a little keyboard sampler, like It costs $80 and like make loops and stuff like that. When I left Trenton, basically what happened is it almost distanced me from a lot from what was going on because of what happened with Stephanie. It's a city, you know. It's a city that wants to be New York. So any problems that come into Trenton, anything that happens in New York is pulled to Trenton. But see, there's no sophistication, quote unquote, of New York in Trenton, where these people are like carjacking their neighbors in Trenton because it's such a small city.
In general, how come some people, you know, not only feel the need to get out, but actually get out? I think I have a little bit of a grudge against Trenton, and I don't really want to have a grudge against Trenton.
Well, I mean, I'm never going back. I mean, I don't have any interest to go back. I mean, there's nothing there.
Dad, didn't you ever think anything was going on when we would just be hanging out at the house all day? Like,
why, something was going on?
Well, like, no, I'm just saying, like
what did I miss here?
Didn't you ever like think we should get jobs or something? like we were just we just bummed around the house a lot.
What did you miss? That's a very good question. What do you think went on?
I think you were smoking a little bit down the cellar and drinking when you was playing in a band. I don't know if you were doing it that much, but I know the guys you hung them with were doing it. Because I used to see all the empty beer cans.
That's
so you did see.
That's a sign that people are drinking, you know.
Yeah.
A bunch of drunk fucks. Look, they're all fucked up, all drunk. Look at them. They're singing songs, man. Hey, keep going. One more time.
But you never said anything.
I figured it was a sign of growing up. You're gonna grow out of it. Well, and you just did.
Yeah, you're right. We did.
There never would have been a band if it wasn't for my brother Joe. He was the leader, the cohesive force, the guy that would yell at you if you were late to practice. Joe always played music like he was on a mission, and his mission hasn't ended in more than 2 decades. Over the years, Joe's played every type of music imaginable. He's been in rock bands, cover bands, jam bands, techno bands, and even an alternative country band. The only thing all these bands had in common was Joe could never get them to sound exactly the way he wanted them to. Most people would have given up years ago, but when you're Joe and you're on a mission, you don't quit. Why is Joe calling?
Joe Zara?
Uh-oh.
Joe, where the hell are you at?
He's in Philadelphia already.
What? You're in Chicago.
Oh no. He's gonna miss this thing.
All right. Well, go do what you got to do and try and get here because I got everybody coming tonight. His plane was late, so his connecting flight left. He's in Chicago.
Now you ain't gonna go to Philly. You gonna go to Newark?
I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Holy shit! Now what happens to all those pictures you're gonna take of Philly?
Well, Philly can wait. We need to get Joe here for the reunion.
Yeah, forget about the pictures in Philly. Joe needs to be here by 7:30, which is 5 hours away, and he's in Chicago. Look at this motherfucker. You see that? That was completely uncalled for. And then he's going to stop in front of me. My goodness. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I generally try not to curse that much anymore. But I don't know, when I get in New Jersey, it comes out. And there's nothing I can do about it. And it gets even worse once I start hanging around with Joe. Joe, why do you got to be late, Joe? I talked to Sam. I talked to Joe Bryce.
This is the 20-year reunion. We haven't seen each other in 20 years.
God fucking forgive me for fucking flying 3,500 miles and not getting there something.
Well, why did you have to get a connecting flight? You couldn't get a straight-through flight from Seattle to Philadelphia? What kind of one-horse town do you live in?
Why do you have to live on the other side of the world, first of all?
I'm gonna fucking stink by the time I get there too.
What else is new? 1450?
Yeah, I ate a bunch of garlic yesterday. It's coming out of my fucking pores right now.
Well, we all look forward to that then. The whole atmosphere is going to change. You saw it when he just called.
Right.
Like, we're all just hanging out with Dad. It's all, Chris, hi.
How you doing?
How you doing, buddy? And then Joe calls everybody. Joe, what the fuck are you doing? Everything like gets louder and there's a big argument. So that's what we're about to experience.
Well, I hope, you know what, I really got to say, I hope we do experience rather than us experiencing getting there and his plane is late. Because that would be worse. Because this reunion, there's not going to be another chance for this reunion. And maybe you'll see Sam or something, or Joe Bryce, but we're all getting together for the first time in 20 years. All 5 of us.
Yes.
That's never going to happen again. If Joe's not here, he's going to miss it.
Well, if Joe's not here, then it's not gonna happen.
That's right.
How the hell did Fred get so old? You want to tell me that? You want to tell me how little Fred got so old? I'm a very sick man, Chris. I'm a very, very sick man. When I find free time, I fill it up with this.
Schlepping it around Trenton, New Jersey with a camera and
hoping
to capture some semblance of an interesting life.
Maybe I'm trying to just bring some meaning to my life.
Well, we're all trying to do that, but really, is there any meaning in anything?
But don't start that with you.
Now we'll talk about what a sick man I am.
Well, we can talk about what a sick man you are.
I feel like I'm
looking for answers in all the wrong places.
I'm hurling towards nihilism, and I don't want to do that.
Nihilism
being the absence of a belief in anything.
Okay.
And the more I learn about the world, the more I realize people believe things because they need to believe them, but that doesn't make them true.
I've heard that theory plenty of times. We want there to be meaning.
We ascribe meaning to things where there is no meaning.
We say, like, what's the meaning of life? There has to be a meaning. Why? Because you want there to be a meaning?
Right.
You're not owed a meaning to life.
Right, exactly. The universe owes you nothing. No meaning, no purpose. And it's very disheartening. It really is.
Yeah?
Taxi on the runway.
Oh, you're still on the plane.
Where you guys at?
We're sitting
waiting for you.
We're sitting in some parking lot right out in front of the terminal.
So what am I doing?
What do you mean, what are you doing?
Am I coming out? Are you coming in?
No, you're coming out and getting in the car. We got to go.
Alright, I don't know what you're doing.
What are you sleeping with the?
You told me you were coming in.
We were gonna come in if you landed at 4:30. It's 10 after 6.
So what do? I walk out there.
Come on in. What do you mean? Come out of the fucking. What are you, Dad now? Come out of the airport and get in the car.
And just call us and tell us where you're at when you come out.
You want me to go through the doors.
What is he fucking sleeping? What is he talking about? Now he's fucking with me.
You want me to walk out the doors of the airport? Is that what you want me to do?
Let me ask you a question. You text me that you were landing. Did you have your phone on in flight?
I did, yeah.
You know
you're not supposed to do that. The whole plane could crash.
That's bullshit.
Well, they tell you not to do it for a reason. I'm not making it up.
Alright.
How's it going, Seattle?
I don't know. But
There he is. I was gonna check you out, make sure you still look the same.
how am I supposed to look?
I don't know.
No, you do look the same. I do look the same.
44 years old, and you know.
I'm not 44 years old. I'm on my way.
So Floyd's coming tonight.
What?
Floyd formerly.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. Sam just called us.
Floyd is coming.
Floyd is coming.
You know that guy you hung around with as a teenager that was always a little bit older than everyone else? That was Floyd. The first 20-something I knew that wasn't a teacher or a mall security guard. I was surprised to hear that Floyd was coming to our reunion. You see, he wasn't actually in the band. And I imagine it's going to be kind of weird to hang out with Floyd without having to ask him to go buy us beer. Every clique has a comedian, and ours was Sam. He didn't make you laugh by telling you jokes. He just made you laugh by being Sam.
Yo, you seem bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this afternoon.
Sam, do you like cake? I like cake.
And even though he was funny, he did have a dark side. In fact, I think that's what I remember the most. Once Sam joined POW, the band changed. We started going in a harder direction, which I guess was a good thing at first. I mean, every punk band needs that edgier element to keep it from going into that Green Day territory. But the bigger Sam's influence got, the more I resented the fact that I didn't have the balls to stand up and have my own voice heard. But I guess as the drummer I knew my place. Plus, how do you stand up to a bass player twice your size that calls you Little Freddie? Rounding out the band was Joe Bryce. I guess you could say he was the responsible one, only because he's the guy you'd call if your car broke down, which happened a lot when you drove around in your friend's 1979 Chevy Chevette. You could also say Joe Bryce was more of a punk by association than an actual punk. I guess he was in the band by association as well, so he was my brother Joe's best friend, which pretty much meant there'd always be a place for him, even if he would have to play the glockenspiel. And I guess we all figured Joe Bryce would be the first one to quit playing music and join the rest of society.
That's what I thought about the name Prisoners of War. That's why I thought the name Prisoners of War really suited the band later on. Originally, when we came up with that name, we didn't. When you wrote the lyrics to the song the second time, we were prisoners of a war kind of on society. You know, like we were stuck in Trenton. We were prisoners. None of us could move out, or we didn't even realize you could. So
This is just insanity. I don't know if I like this.
He might be up at the room. I think he said he was up at the room. I don't know how he got in. You know what? I just saw people up there.
you know what? If anybody's like your guy, build shit.
You nervous about going to see Joe Bryce? I hear it. Oh my God! Here it goes. Oh no! He does look the exact same. I think I look the most different out of everybody. Because I'm fucking man Fred over here. What's wrong with
That's good. No. Yeah, dude, I got 3 kids.
You got 3?
Yeah.
All daughters?
No, 2 girls.
Oh.
Yeah.
And being able to find everybody that like is on the same page and kind of, I mean, it helped that there's 3 brothers in the band. But
this is it.
This is it.
POW was kind of forgotten, but I've always been proud of it.
Oh, I've always been too, yeah.
We've done a lot of
we were a lot
stuff
better than I mean, obviously we were amateur at playing at that point. I was just talking about that. We only played 2 years. All of us probably were only playing our instruments for 2 years when we were in the band.
Yeah, well, exactly.
When you listen to some of the recordings, there's like a lot of energy and power in what we were doing. There's that one scene like in one of those videos that you put up there with Sam Sam starts fucking moshing at practice.
Oh, down in the
He's just
basement?
going like this. He would just do this thing where he just starts going like this at practice, knocking everybody over. This fucking. I'm pushing him back. He couldn't contain it.
Yeah, sometimes it's a good move, Joe.
Spirit
You
move.
just can't contain it.
Sometimes
You know.
You know, one thing I liked about creating in that time period and the art is that it was art for art's sake, and that's it. If you had an idea, you just did it.
And you did it.
There was no, and that's the thing, because there's no way we couldn't go anywhere. There was no possibility of success ever. So we just did whatever you wanted to do.
We're all there.
Why did we break up?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, why did we? That was our last
I
show.
don't
Why
know
did
if
we
we
end up
broke
breaking up?
I don't know
Did
if
we
we
break
broke
up or did we just stop playing?
Well, we must have broken up.
you
Or
guys
are
have
we
a-
still together officially?
I don't know. I think personally.
I'm telling you, dude. I wish there was like.
Let Joe talk.
I mean,
I think it would
my life went in a totally different direction.
Yeah. And then I was trying to switch it up for, guitar and stuff. Which I would probably play more guitar now than bass.
Really?
Because bass is kind of, So it's like, got a lot of stuff in my head that I'd love to get out, man. But
You were always like borderline, could have been a front man too.
I'd like to.
I mean,
We were talking about. We used to play Freebird all the time in this band that I was in. Like as kind of like not as a joke, but like kind of just we would fucking rock it down.
And it was the last song of the night.
Last song of the night. And
Always
one
the
night I
last.
fucking just stripped down and played it naked.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Wait, how long? This was like when you were 25 or something?
No, this is last year.
That's what's going on in Seattle.
And it gave a whole new meaning to I'm as free as a bird, and this bird you cannot change.
Yeah, pretty much. What was the drummer thinking looking at you?
All right, well, first of all, give me the good stuff.
It's been several years.
Good to see you.
Oh God.
Yeah.
We want to get your perspective on it. That's really what we were hoping to get. Like, we got the perspective of all of us as kids, but we were all kids, and you were an adult, but you were like the cool mom. You were like the mom that was like a friend.
Everybody talks about you were the mom, but you weren't really the mom. You like hung with us a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I don't know my perspective.
But you were strict for some reason. Everybody says that.
Yeah,
She was good, but
and
she was strict.
I think that's one of the reasons I hung. Of course, I liked all you kids. You were great kids.
Why do you think people were so drawn to Stephanie?
She was so bubbly, so vibrant.
That can be a turnoff sometimes. Not everyone likes bubbly, but for some reason.
But then she was serious too when she had to be serious. She wasn't just constant bubbly. She was a good friend because even though I was her mother first, I considered her one of my dearest, closest friends.
What I remember about Stephanie, oh my God, Stephanie was, like this bubbly, sort of sweet, wonderful, fantastic girl who was, wacky, sort of like, because she was punk rock, and.
Why didn't the light go on?
I don't know.
It's broke. Oh, it's broke. Okay.
I was watching some old footage that we have in black and white, and I got to be like 11 or 12 years old. Joe Bryce is in it, and she's there, and she's
singing into the camera.
She's watching herself on TV while the camera's playing.
This is Family Ties. Ouch! Don't do this. Pretend we're on Family Ties.
Wait, this is Joe.
Okay.
What is he doing?
A new TV show. What's the TV show gonna be called?
Stephanie's house.
This is mine.
This is my house.
All right, do that.
Our house, come on. In the middle of the street.
Get in there.
And we're all singing.
She would be in front of the camera or wherever and talk about herself and do things for herself. It wasn't for anybody else.
And just laughing
Right, to
and
amuse yourself.
Yes.
Hanging out at Joe Zara's house.
Yes. Wait a minute. Get my safety pin in there. Can you see it? Can you get my brain?
So here's where Stephanie's buried. And as you can see, she died on Christmas Eve, 1988. She used to have her picture right here, but that's been gone for a long time.
She was amazing, amazing girl.
Nothing
She was like one of those people that when you know, she could totally change the dynamic of a room just by being there.
She just had a gift. I used to always tell her, when I grow up, Steffi, I want to be just like you, you know, because she was just so full of love for everyone. And that's what I used to teach her. Love life, love people, accept them for who they are with their faults and all. Because that's what makes the person that you're attracted to in the first place to be friends. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We were at her wedding the year before at the same church. The next year we were at her funeral.
Clearly remember last time I saw her. It was on my 16th birthday, a party at Dave Disgusting's. And it wasn't a party for my 16th birthday. It was just some random party at Dave Disgusting's. I don't know if you guys were there, but nobody at the party recognized or said it was my birthday or anything. You know, Pat was there, you know, all our friends.
Right.
But nobody remembered it was my birthday. And then Stephanie came in. We were down in the basement. I heard her giggling and laughing, making her way to the basement. And as soon as she walked in, the first thing she said was, "Hey, Fred, happy birthday." So for her to remember my birthday out of everybody else that was there, it was kind of weird. And that was November 88. And then Dave Disgusting, he's the one that we don't really know where he's at. He's an old friend. He got a little crazy later on. He was like nice, like he was like kind of always like a little off. We all were in our own ways, but Dave was a little bit more off. And the older he got, the more he started emulating a guy named G.G. Allen, who was like a sort of like a singer, but he was more of like a shock performer. Like he would break bottles and on stage and roll around in the bottles.
How do you explain Dave? First of all, how do you explain a guy named Dave Disgusting?
Well, I think the name Dave Disgusting pretty much says it all. I mean, if you say here's a guy named Dave Disgusting,
but
you pretty much can get the whole picture right from the name.
You could, but you could get the picture that he was just some dirty kid scrounging around in garbage cans or something like that, when really that's not what he was. He was the guy, he was like the guy that everybody knew him, everybody respected him, at least in the beginning. He had charisma.
That's the phone. Yeah? Well, okay. What was the question again now, son? Why you choose this outrageous hairstyle and tattoo markings about your face? Oh, because I'm a scumbag.
I think he found an identity with that. That's what he did. He found an identity because he became like a rock star. Right. Because of...
In his own
He really had
mind,
a kind of rock
sort
star
of.
quality to him too, I think. Well, and chicks loved him. I mean, like, you know, like
if he had the right outlet.
people, he was like people looked up to him or in some weird way because he would do shit that you'd never fucking do. Right. Nobody would ever fucking stick a gun in their mouth and blow their teeth out, or you know, dive in glass on the ground or hit themselves over the head with a pot.
Weird. Like, nobody does that. Why is it?
We got sick, man. Some rat fucks rat fuck. They don't know what they're fucking dealing with.
From what I hear, he don't look too good.
Really? Who, Dave?
Yeah.
Who was the last person to say him?
I think Pat.
Yeah.
That was a couple of years ago, right?
That's from what
In
Pat
Philly
says,
or something?
In Philly, yeah.
He was living in Pittsburgh. Last time I heard, he moved back with his parents in Pittsburgh.
Oh, he was? Well, that's
at one point. Who the hell knows where he is right now?
Yeah.
There was a fly on a window, and it was looking out the window at the place with the children. And then the sun rose on the other horizon, and God said, "That's it, goodbye," and it all blew up in one big flame.
I think Dave represents now probably the worst possible outcome that any of us could have experienced. Like, it's possible that he's just not with us anymore, and that's really like when you look back at us as kids, you're thinking some of these kids aren't going to make it into their 30s, and Dave might be one of those. At this point, we don't even know, do we?
This is where it happened, right here. When I went here, that was the first grade class, and that was the second grade class. So in the middle of the year, I remember this like it was yesterday. In the middle of the year, in second grade, a teacher came into my class and said, "Fred, come with me." Took me out of the second grade class, took me back to the first grade class, walked me into the room, and announced to all the students there who are now going to be my classmates, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fred Zara. He's not smart enough for second grade. We didn't think he was doing well, so we're now going to put him in your class. Here's the dumb kid. Have fun, Fred." But I didn't know anything about it. I knew I wasn't doing well reading, and I wasn't really interested in school. I had a learning disability, so it took me a long time to learn how to read. And I knew that that was a problem, but I didn't know that this was about to happen. And just all of a sudden, "Fred, let's go." I remember that bell.
Let's fight. That's what you do when you're here. You fight.
You fight.
Let's fight.
Trenton Visitor Center. Oh, it's operated by the Trenton Downtown Association. Who knew there was such a thing? Hi, Trenton Film Festival?
Yep.
Hi, I'm a filmmaker.
You're a filmmaker?
Yes.
Okay, just sign in.
Thank you.
You got your gift bag?
I got a gift bag, and he's going to walk us over to where the film's going to screen.
Nice.
Oh, look at that.
60% less fat.
Candy. T-shirt.
I'll bet you Sundance doesn't give Chex Mix.
It isn't easy defining punk rock. You ask 100 people the definition of punk rock, you'd probably wind up with 100 people beating the hell out of each other. Being punk rock in the 80s was a lot like being really late to a party. Or early. It was 10 years after the Sex Pistols, and 4 years before grunge. I don't think faux hawks were even invented yet. The only thing less popular in 1988 was Michael Dukakis. Still, it was always there, in indie record stores and on college radio stations, and in tiny clubs like CBGB's. Today, people still remember CB's for launching 70s icons like the Ramones and Blondie. But in the 80s, a whole new group of people discovered the club to go see bands we all knew would never be famous. In Trenton, we had our own version of CBGB's, a club called City Gardens. It's kind of ironic that there was this thriving punk club in the middle of this nowhere town. But I guess that's the advantage you get from being between New York and Philadelphia. Trenton didn't have a ballet or a philharmonic, but it had City Gardens, and every punk band that toured the Northeast played there. And in April 1988, so did we.
Oh, wow. That's like the real... I was thinking like
Is
it was
this
going to be a little
upright?
picture. Yeah, no, that's great. I was
Wow.
thinking like a little picture.
Is that beautiful? No.
Wow.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, that really is.
No matter how angry I got about something, she'd melt my heart in a second. And I'll never forget the one time, I'm trying to remember what it was about. She was being punished because I caught her smoking. So I told her, "No, you can't go to this concert." And I don't remember. Did you guys ever play at that punk place?
City
Because
Gardens.
I think it was your City Gardens, and I think it was your band playing that night. She
was there.
determined to go. Yes.
Well, that that was our big show. She had to go.
We were getting some shit that night from, from the audience because we were off of it, man.
Yeah.
Well,
that's because
we were all not in the right. Everybody was on something different. Man.
So, here goes. If you don't like it too bad, everybody makes me sick.
I don't think I remember playing a POW show not totally drunk.
Oh man.
I don't think there was a one. And CBGB's was the worst one.
Oh man.
I'll never remember walking in there. We couldn't wait to get into this place to play, and then you were like, well, where's we wanted to go to the dressing room.
Right.
It was like this little fucking shit fucking hole.
It was smaller than where we're all sitting
You couldn't
now.
even do anything. It was so fucking
And then
small.
I think you remember we got asked not to come back to CBGB's.
Yeah.
They told us never to come back.
After Death to Hindus.
That's right.
After I think we did it.
Two different things. We smuggled alcohol in amps. And they busted us.
Yes, I remember that.
What did we do? We smuggled alcohol in the amps, and everybody was underage. So we hid it.
Yes, hidden in
beers,
peppermint schnapps.
And somehow they saw the Death to Hindus on the set list, and they said, "Don't play it."
See, I don't.
Somehow that happened.
I was a little out of it that night, Jim.
What happened? We played it anyway.
You know,
See, I mean, that's rock and roll. You finally get into a place that you've been dying to play. It's a legendary place, and we just fucking destroy it. We're like, we don't even care.
Had problems before you even got there.
Same thing with City Gardens. Chris was so drunk he could barely stand up on stage.
Yeah, we actually got banned from City Gardens too, didn't we? Because we broke into a show.
The second time we were supposed to play City Gardens, and Randy now came up to me, and he said, "Your boys tried to sneak in the back door. You guys aren't playing on Sunday." And I tried to reason with them at first. I was like, "No, man, come on. No, I mean, we got all these people coming," and I was really nice. And he kept going, "No, man, he was an asshole." And then I just started saying,
He always was.
I start fucking yelling and spitting at him and shit. "Fuck you, you motherfucker," and all this shit. And the security guards start pulling me out the door.
He was always.
And Fred starts climbing over the back. "Get your hands on board!" It was a big fucking scene.
It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
We had the big van. If you remember that.
What?
We had the whole big.
And Joe Bryce keeps going, no, not in the truck.
Yeah, not because we're drinking in the back of the truck.
You've been inside. No, not in there. Jerry, want to get the tool? Yo, not in here. No. Joe Bryce, help me put this back. Just wait. This can stay out for now. Joe, help me put this back.
There used to be big music notes painted on the side of the wall. You can't even see them anymore. It didn't used to be pink either. Doesn't look like a very tough punk club, being pink, looking like a big Pepto-Bismol bottle. That's the main front door. The two double doors that's got the chain on it. That's the main front door that people would line up to get into. You'd stand right out front of those doors and they'd pat you down. Everybody going in the club had to be pat down. I mean, it wasn't like a real pat down. I mean, you easily could have, smuggled something in there. That's where most of the people came in. When we loaded in the equipment and stuff like that, we used this side door, the small door here. Sometimes we used to come here and not even go in to see whatever band was playing. We would just come and hang out in the parking lot. That's what you did for the night. There'd be people parked up and down, in and out of the woods. Fights. Got into a couple fights here. Dave got into a fight with a skinhead in this. He fought with this white power skinhead. So Dave just went up to him and said, "Fuck you." And the dude was big too. So the dude took him and said, let's go. And they came out here to this field. and the dude fucking pummeled Dave. I mean, he beat him into the ground, and Dave kept getting up. I mean, it was like a scene out of like Raging Bull. The dude was beating him to a pulp, and Dave would just keep getting up all bloody and say, "Come on, I'm not done." I mean, it was a fucking punk rock club. Spray paint all over the walls, punk rockers, fucking mohawks going by. Fucking mosh it up, you know?
There must be something wrong with you, cause it looks like you're headed down a one-way street, but in the wrong direction. Whoa. I'm really sorry things are not this way, but that's how it goes when you're on your own.
I bring you up with common sense, and everything was common sense, and eventually you'll figure it out. And you just did.
Just don't go over the line.
Yeah, right. I don't think, unless you was really sneaking, that you was taking drugs or any of that stuff, because I didn't see any signs of that. Because that.
Would you know what to look for?
Yeah, I think so. You scared me that one time when you ran your head into them thing. That was a little shit.
What did I do?
Yeah, what?
You ran your head into the mirror.
What happened?
I don't know. It looks like he was angry by looking at himself in the mirror or something.
That's what it was.
And he ran his head into the mirror, like he was trying to kill himself. And I said, that's why we put him in that crazy house.
You guys were arguing, Chris slammed his head into a mirror, and then you went and took him to a place? A house or something?
I don't know.
It was an institution.
How did they get you there?
They took me to a teen crisis center.
Yeah, we took him.
And from there, I think the doctor that evaluated me recommended that I go to this facility, this institution.
I remember me and your mother, the night we dropped you off, we sitting in the car, we were still crying for about a half hour in the car.
You're crying? Yeah, that upsets me.
Well, I'm telling you now, I didn't tell you that, did I?
No.
We kept saying, well, I hope we're doing the right thing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you really had us on.
I was an emotionally charged young man. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was angry.
Joe, you're always stepping on the goddamn cord!
How old were you?
16. What 16-year-old isn't angry?
So,
I had a problem with
on the film.
I had a problem with mirrors as a youngster, and there's a song called "Mirror Mirror," Prisoners of War song, which is about that.
Which is a very hateful,
self-hating song.
Buddy, lay down, be good boy.
So when he gets the attention, he's like, okay, now they're thinking about me. But then when we stop thinking about
Exactly, then he starts. So, I put him out, but he's so big. He's a giant shepherd. I'm afraid he'll go through the fence. Buddy, enough.
It'll be 6 years celebrate on my birthday, man.
So you're done now? You don't...
6 years off of heroin.
Not at all.
I'll still smoke pot, man.
Right. No dope at all?
No heroin.
We couldn't have figured that out.
It was 6 years, man.
Well, that's great.
I got hit by a car and stuff, Chris.
What?
Crossing,
he can't.
Crossing
Did you see the way he's walking? He's got like a...
I got a limp.
What happened?
It was worse before.
I was walking to meet my dealer and stuff.
In Philly?
And right in Trenton, man. By, right down the street from the prison. If you know where the ballpark is.
South Trenton.
Cash Street and Center.
Right.
Cars going both ways. It was dark and rainy, and I had like a pea coat on and jeans, dark jeans.
On the fucking street, you got hit by a car.
I crossed halfway, and I'm waiting for the cars to go past, and the next thing you know, I'm in the air and stuff. Like, what the hell's going on?
In the air, you thought that?
Yeah, I thought I was like, oh, you just got hit by a car. And then as soon as I thought that in my
So
head,
you're thinking this.
boom! I fucking hit the car and
Again.
I came down on the roof of the car, Joe, and flattened it like a pancake.
No shit.
Oh, shit.
Really?
So I had to be up there for a while because I was like, I could feel myself going like in like a tumble saw and stuff.
And it felt like you're thinking.
Right, well, everything slows down.
I was like, why am I spinning like this?
Jesus Christ.
And then I'm in the street and I'm like, oh shit. Like I hit by a car and I try to get up and I feel bones like moving in my leg and stuff. I was like, oh shit, I can't go get my fucking dope.
That's the first thing you
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm gonna be sick.
Oh, yep.
Right through the fucking New Jersey hardcore tattoo.
Yeah, right through Pat's
nice
homemade tattoo. My lawyer, I called a lawyer while I was watching Jerry Springer and stuff. Fred, the 1-800 US lawyer and stuff. I was like,
we're open on Christmas Eve at midnight.
It's like fucking, you know, I'm thinking of scheming the ways in the hospital of, that's what got me straightened out, man. After I got out of weeks in the hospital, 1 week, I got high a couple times after that. I was like, I can't keep on doing this, man. So the capper for me in my head was the guy I was going to meet got murdered like a month later.
Holy shit.
Which really is like, you better do something.
That's like something.
Like got murdered maybe in like the same neighborhood where you
got
might have been.
murdered right, you know, a block from where I got hit. And a block I walked down, you know, just about every day at that time in my life, man.
And Sam was her friend. They were both 5. I have a picture of them holding hands.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they went to McCarston together.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And we all sat at the table, well, her, me, and Sam, and we just had some serious talking. But I don't remember that.
You sat down with Sam and had serious talks?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Well, the one day when she came to me and she, you know, I mean, he was in tears then, and because Steffi really cared about him and didn't want him going down that path. So we, right.
Blessings to her, man. Yeah. She's always been in my head, you know.
Weird
I
talking
think
to her.
a day usually doesn't go past, you know, I'm getting all for Clemson. A day doesn't go past where I don't usually think about stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned something about her laugh.
Yeah, oh, that was spooky, man, because I haven't heard it in a long time.
I always remember the
video
laugh.
from City Gardens.
From City Gardens.
Hearing her laugh was
Yeah. Hey, Steph, this dude.
Hey, taxi!
Oh, get this thing.
What I heard is that she was administered something that made her feel great, and then when she woke up from that, she said, "Oh, can I have some more?" And she was administered it again, and then she kind of passed out, and then they just went downstairs and like left her upstairs, and she never woke up.
You know, people say, "Oh, well, you know, they look down at like people that were on dope and stuff," but everybody that I've ever known that's been down that road, it's really tough to come back from.
Well, why do
when they do come back, they're a little wiser. That's right.
Well, why do you imagine
and a lot of people have not been through that kind of a struggle in their life. They haven't seen that.
Why do you imagine Sam got so far into dope, and why would you get into dope? You know what I mean? Why do people?
Why does anybody?
That's what I'm wondering.
Of life, the family. He went to Catholic school.
Is it just is this something you just try and it's just so wonderful that you just
There's
you
a
can't
lot
stop,
of there's
or?
a lot of different reasons, but mainly the world it's because doesn't exist.
It's better to be high, and life is better when you're high. You don't think about things, you don't worry about things.
I mean,
it shuts your brain off. I mean, who wouldn't? How is that not appealing?
Hey, how's it going? I hope everybody's having a really good time. I haven't been this excited in a long time, and oh boy, I really don't like it here. You know, it's really...
I can't picture you doing it.
Later on, after the bands broke up, I was, you know, I had nothing. I was done. I was like one of these washed-up rock stars.
you know, until I decided I was going to do something else with my life. You know, you go through that period where you're like, you're not this lead singer anymore. You're just some fucking dude.
You know, we thought you were. I thought you were going to die at one point.
Right. Well, you guys.
I thought that was.
Yeah,
Well, you could die.
I could easily have died. Sure.
Die.
We saw Steph die. People died.
Right.
So it wasn't like beyond the scope of imagination that somebody would die. So,
No, that's true. I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Would that have been such a bad thing? I wouldn't have to
if
get
you
up.
died,
Yeah, I wouldn't have to get up in the morning.
at least you'd be resting right now.
Yeah, I would get a little more sleep than I get now.
Yeah, but just think about how
much
different you are
I
now.
know.
It's just like I couldn't
And
imagine
you get
being.
to learn. I mean, you got to learn from it, and you get to be a different person. You get to see the world in a different way.
But I don't know if I'm much happier though. That's the weird thing. Like I'm glad I'm alive, but like I was saying before, every year it gets harder for me to like think there's any meaning to life.
There was a time where some of the people we hung out with went through like a crack phase, and we couldn't go anywhere. See all these neighborhoods we're driving through here? We couldn't go anywhere. We'd be trying to go to a party or over a friend's house or something like that. And everywhere we went, we had to make a stop so they could get crack. And then we'd drive through these crazy ghetto, scary neighborhoods. They would buy crack. They'd pull over in some parking lot over here. I'm sitting in a car. They would smoke the crack in the parking lot. And then before we could make it over to friend's house, they would want to stop again. So halfway back to the person's house, we'd have to turn around, come back to these neighborhoods, and buy some more crack. And this would happen 3-4 times. Sometimes we wouldn't even get to our destination. All we would do was go back and forth to the ghetto so they could buy crack. Eventually, it got late, and like, screw it, let's just go home. And meanwhile, I'm sitting in the back seat the whole time, just wanting to go out of the house. Look at the sidewalk. Don't they fix the sidewalks here?
We used to run up and down the sidewalk in our bare feet.
It's an interesting fact. This is the house we grew up in, and this is where the band used to practice, in the basement. Look, they put in a walkway and a driveway. We were the only house on this whole block that didn't have a driveway, and now that's all changed.
At some point, the township of Hamilton enacted this program where they would charge greater fines, I guess, if you were caught with drugs within within 1,000 feet of a school. So then they would put up the signs where the zones started. And coincidentally, one of the signs went up right out in front of our house during the time that we were living here.
So if you sold drugs over here,
you're okay.
You paid like a $75 fine. Right. If you went over here in front of our house and you sold drugs, $3,000.
$3,000.
$3,000.
Maybe $30,000. I don't really know the exact numbers. But
well, luckily we didn't sell drugs out of this house, but there were drugs that were done in this house.
Yeah. Ingested.
Every school kid in Trenton learns about the Revolutionary War. Trenton, of course, played a major role in that war, and when you grow up here, they don't let you forget it. On December 25th, 1776, George Washington and his men crossed the Delaware River and defeated the Hessian soldiers that were stationed at Trenton. It was a small victory, but a major turning point in the Revolutionary War. They didn't teach us much about Trenton's history aside from that one story, and I guess I always assumed nothing interesting happened here after the 1700s. I mean, yeah, we had that fancy sign, but I gotta admit, I never really thought much about what it meant. Well, you know what? It turns out it meant a lot. In 1910, the Chamber of Commerce would run a contest to find a slogan that would best encapsulate the city in just a few choice words. Out of nearly 1,500 submissions, they chose a slogan that read, "The world takes, Trenton makes." Right. Well, it's New Jersey, it's not Madison Avenue. The next year, they put up a wooden sign with the slogan across the Lower Free Bridge, which originally opened in 1806, and it was the first bridge to ever cross the Delaware River. Sometime later, somebody decided to rearrange the words in the slogan so that the word Trenton would come first. In 1917, they put up an electric sign that simply read, "Trenton makes, the world takes." And for a long time, that saying was really true. From the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s, Trenton made everything from wire to rubber to iron to steel. John Robley moved his wire mill to Trenton in the 1840s, and they made wire for some of the world's largest suspension bridges, including the Brooklyn Bridge. They even made the world's largest bathtub in Trenton, custom designed for President Taft. Of course, we weren't around for any of that. Trenton's population peaked in 1950 at 128,000. But by the 80s, with most of the manufacturing jobs that built the city gone, that number dwindled down to 90,000. The city still loses population every year. So Trenton's the capital of New Jersey. But a lot of people don't know that Trenton was actually the capital of the United States of America for a short period.
I think it's funny that like the primary paper of Trenton dropped the Trenton from their name. They're now just known as the Times, following a trend of other things, I suppose, that dropped Trenton out of the name. So they used to be known as the Trenton Times, and if you look at it, it says, serving our community for more than 125 years, the Times. Nowhere on here really does it say what community that is.
Don't sing it. Fred has to get in the picture. Fred, you suck. Look, there's the cheesy fucking fatal jerk. Trying to act all mean.
We're supposed to go see this Private Eye because we can't find Dave. So, but my conflict is that there's still that 15-year-old kid that had to put up with all that shit from Dave. That part of me is saying, oh, why am I going to go to the extra length to find Dave? You know, if he's in a gutter somewhere or if he's dead, there's a part of me saying, like, who cares? Fuck it.
If you're trying to find out who you are and you're trying to confront your past and figure out how your past makes you what you are now, you got to confront the ugly side of it too.
So I understand you trying to find an old friend?
We are trying to find an old friend, yes.
Usually, what it would take to find someone like this is usually we try to track, the parents or the family, because, they're always in touch with the family somewhere, some point. It becomes rather very difficult to track somebody that's homeless, obviously, because, we will check hospitals and we'll check, So I think we have enough information to kind of search him. But what I'm going to need is a copy of your IDs, because we have a very sensitive database system that we access.
Okay.
Got to verify who you guys are. And
you want the real IDs or the fake ones?
the real ones would be nice. Okay, so that's good. Good on you.
Hello, this is Sharon. May I help you?
Hi Sharon, how are you?
Okay.
Great. My name is Michael Joseph, and I'm with Universal Investigations. And I was hired by two gentlemen who are looking for their old friend David. I believe it's your son.
I have a son named David.
Yeah, they're looking for their old friend.
Why do they want to see David?
He's just an old friend of theirs, and they want to see how he is, I believe.
Well, he's in Philadelphia, and I don't have an address for him, and he doesn't have a phone. But he's gone homeless, really. I know he lives on Colorado Street. I can't find the address, so, it's in South Philadelphia somewhere.
South on Colorado Street? Now, is he living like with someone? Because nothing is listed in his name, it appears.
I really feel very uncomfortable giving you any more information.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Well.
Oh, she gave us a great hint, He's on Colorado Street. I wonder how big is Colorado Street. We gotta do some footwork if she doesn't cooperate. But he is in South Philadelphia.
I know it's not the end. The sound is blue again. Blue like a baby.
Well, Patsy contacted me through MySpace and said he hangs out on 2nd and Chestnut.
When did she send that?
She just sent this one 2 days ago.
All right, so let's
Let's
try these locations.
She said she lives here and she sees him from time to time and he's still homeless.
Try to save me.
Short?
Right now, I'm just yeah.
He's got a tattoo on his forehead.
Further I go, I wanna forget what I thought I knew, and it all can fade to blue.
Well, what do we have to say? I mean, he's gone.
Did we really think we were going to find him?
I had this feeling that we were going to find him, that we were going to see him. We saw that one guy that looked like him, and my heart dropped. I was like, that's Dave.
I haven't liked Dave in a really long time. And then when we were talking to Dave's mom on the phone, or at least we heard her talking on the phone, and I could hear her in her voice that she was still in contact with Dave, and Dave just wasn't doing well. It reminded me that Dave is just a guy with problems. Probably still heavily addicted and living on these streets somewhere. The only thing I could think I would say to him, if we happen to find him, which doesn't look like it's going to happen now, I would offer him some help. I would say, do you want us to take you to a shelter? Can I give you some money? Can buy you a meal? I'm sorry you're living this way, and I wish you all the best. Dave, disgusting.
Well, the other way to look at it is Dave had a thing about how he wanted to be and how he wanted to live his life, and he lived it the way he wanted to live it.
So is this the closest we're going to get to Dave Disgusting? I mean, we went to everywhere that he's been seen for the past 6 years, and we have to go.
And it's ironic that it ends here among these great works of art. Maybe it says something about Dave. I wouldn't put him in a museum, but Dave's life was his art, and that's really the definition of a true artist, isn't it? Life is better when you're high. You don't think about things. You don't worry about things.
I mean,
you shut your brain off. I mean, who wouldn't? How is that not appealing?
You could do it in any. You could just bring it in any occasion. When you're watching sports, the world doesn't exist. When you're riding fast in your car with the window down. When you're
gambling. When you're on that winning streak.
Whatever it is.
When you're Bill O'Reilly and you're yelling at everyone.
That's
and
right. Sure.
Putting yourself on the pedestal.
Right. No. So I don't. People that look down at other people because their thing is frowned upon more than their thing, whatever. It's pretty. You know what I mean? It's like it's apples and oranges. They're both fruit.
What the hell?
Are they both fruit? What the?
I was thinking about it. I got halfway there. I was thinking.
What the hell does
Are
that
they
mean?
both fruit? They're both fruit.
Okay.
A weight problem and a heroin problem. Addicted to.
But you're saying apples and oranges. That's usually meant to.
Addicted to
it's
television.
Usually meant to describe contrast when you say apples.
But they're the
and
same thing, though. Contrast, but the same thing. That's what I just said. It was a lot more brilliant than you're giving me credit for.
All right.
It was a brilliant in a Joe way.
A gambling addiction.
So next time someone says apples and oranges to me, I'll say they're both fruit.
That's right.
That's not bad. I could use that.
See?
It was. I think about a lot of stuff, Fred, and I'm really sorry for a lot of stuff, and I had a lot of years of frustration with myself. Maybe the band could have went a different route if I had my head into it more, which, you know, I guess it had to go the way it went anyway, but I have a lot of, I guess the word I'm looking for is regret and stuff, that it didn't go, you know, we didn't do better than we did, and I point the finger at myself a lot.
It brings up unpleasantness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you realize that, you know, at the time you just didn't think about.
There's so much that we just didn't think about back in those days. Like,
well,
like
your frame of reference is so small. You've only been here in Trenton. You've only done this. You haven't seen the world.
We didn't know anything. We didn't know anything outside of Trenton. Nothing.
Right.
We should get ready to go to the festival. Wait here, Chris. Put it on. Put it on. Put it on. Put it on and like pose. You know, like. That's my friend Keith.
What's up, Keith?
We've known each other since second grade. We grew up together.
There he is.
The reason his face is all blurry is because he threatened to sue me if I used his image. That would make more sense if you knew Keith. I didn't expect much from the Trenton Film Festival. And the truth is, I didn't see much either. Not much that would impress anyone else. I saw posters with the word Trenton prominently displayed on them, like it was something to be proud of. I saw volunteers working to promote a cultural event on those same streets that I thought were filled with nothing but crack houses. I met people that knew Trenton's history and cared about preserving it. This city's past its prime. Nobody that lives here is in denial about that. But it turns out there are a few people left that feel like abandoning it isn't the only option.
Want to wait on the platform right here? Sure.
Can I leave the car here?
Leave the fucking car there. The most they'll say is move it.
Well, if I'm not here, what they're gonna...
We'll be right here. You work like this at home?
Joe, it's a rent-a-car. You want me to have the fucking car towed? What do you want me to do with it?
I don't know. It's really weird seeing people in the time warp.
I know it has all this crap that we're doing.
Well, when you see people in a time warp like that, you see them and you see them 20 years later, and they just get to fill you in on their life.
Right. It's like you went into cryogenics and woke up and then boom.
That's exactly.
That's what I felt like today. I felt like I was in a movie. Back to the Future.
All right. Well, I'll see you in Florida.
I want to come out. Of course I want to. I'll see you soon. Love you guys.
I remember this place in a dream I once belonged, but I could see it on your face that you've been here all along. The smile in your eyes, her laughter in the wind, I could feel it all again when I hear these words in a song, singing, it's gonna be alright. The simple things will survive everything. It's gonna be alright, 'cause I can see the faith in you.
Love and best wishes, and for all you kids, I just wish your hearts and lives are full of love, laughter, and happiness.
Good to see you. Bye. I've been thinking a lot about that sign. Trenton makes, the world takes. I mean, what does Trenton really make anymore? It's no wonder why so many people see that sign as a relic from the past. A couple of weeks ago, I saw it that way myself. And alright, maybe Trenton doesn't make wire or rubber or iron or steel anymore, but it makes people. And the world's still going to take those people, whether it wants them or not.
Don't you think Trenton's always going to be a part of who you are? Don't you think that Trenton is, your outlook in life, the way you process information?
It was art for art's sake, and that's it.
Of course, I liked all you kids. You were great kids.
to what we